We've all got stories about going to the movies, and some of them we can share and some of them we probably shouldn't. This video is going to be about 3 things that happened to me while I was in cinemas watching movies. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and leave a comment telling me your story about something weird that happened to you in a cinema, but try to keep it above the waist. But before I get into those 3 stories, I'm going to start with a rant because it fulfills my contractual obligation as a baby boomer. I really hate blogs and YouTube channels with clickbait headlines that say, "Here are the top 10 movies you've never seen." I want to strangle people who do that. It's dismissive of the audience's own movie-going experience and knowledge. Some of the people in your audience are going to know a lot more about movies than you do. And as a content creator, you have to respect that. This is part of my DVD and Blu-ray collection. I've seen a lot of movies in those clickbait headlines at least twice. So those headlines suck. What you bring to any content creation anywhere is your experience and perception of movies. You don't need to throw shade on people to do that. Call the movies interesting or memorable or unique or unforgettable, but don't make assumptions about your audience. Anyway, on to the movie stories. When I was a teenager, I went to the movies a lot. I had no parental supervision, which made it a lot easier, and cinema tickets were pretty cheap. The downside was I actually had to go to where the movies were being shown. That wasn't always easy. I once spent 2 hours on public transport to get to see the final program, aka The Last Man on Earth. Wasn't a great film, but there wasn't a lot else on. I spent about the same amount of time going to the old Bondi Star Cinema every weekend because they were showing a season of Hammer horror films and you couldn't see them any other way. There was no VHS, there were no DVDs, no streaming, no Blu-rays, nothing. Being a movie buff in those days was like being a Neolithic hunter. You'd track down your prey and travel vast distances to get them. So in the mid-1970s, a movie came out called The Giant Spider Invasion. I headed down to the bottom end of Pitt Street where a bunch of guys had refitted a small Chinese language cinema to show cult movies. It was a long skinny venue with maybe 60 seats and a screen on the stage with a sloping area of carpet between the curtains and the first row of seats. I paid for my ticket and found a seat up the back and the movie started. It was a bad film, but it's oddly fun. It's on the Razzie Award list of the top 100 enjoyably bad movies ever made. The giant spider in the movie is a VW bug cosplaying as a spider. There's a bunch of actors from the 1950s and 1960s I liked, and so I kind of sat back and enjoyed the cheesiness. Suddenly the curtains to the right of the screen moved, and a guy in a spider costume crawled out and down the ramp of carpet towards the audience in the front row. One guy was asleep. He woke up suddenly and saw this giant spider crawling out of the screen at him. He freaked out. He started screaming and flailing about and tried to beat the guy in the spider suit to death. The ushers pulled him off the spider suit guy, who retreated to the office a bit shaken but unhurt. They threw the attacker out and the movie continued and nobody was hurt. You're not going to get that kind of augmented reality experience watching a movie at home on your 4K 55-inch OLED. Since that day, I've had a great fondness for the giant spider invasion that's out of all proportion to the movie's attributes because I was there when the spider guy got beaten up. Here's the second story. Many years later, for reasons that I just can't explain, I went and saw the second or maybe with third Rambo movie in a city cinema. Not sure which of the two it was. They all blurred together for me after First Blood. It's all bullets and blood and Sylvester Stallone snarling. Anyway, the cinema was mostly empty. A big drunk guy sat himself down 3 rows from the front in the centre of the cinema and spent the whole movie yelling at the screen like he was watching WrestleMania. He told Rambo what to do and cheered when he did it and threw popcorn at the screen whenever a bad guy was turned into a bloody mess by a chain gun. Never in my life have I seen someone enjoy a movie more. For this guy, cinema was a deeply interactive experience, and nobody in the cinema was able to stop him. His enthusiasm cast a spell over us, so we just let him do his thing, and it made the movie much better than it would have been otherwise. Movies are magic. So here's the third and last story, and it's about midnight movies. The Valhalla Cinema in Glebe, which is now a suite of offices because that's the kind of world we live in, was a great revival cinema. Half the people I knew had the Valhalla's printed calendars for upcoming movies sticky taped to the wall of their home. If you wanted to see Big Meat Eater or Mr. Mike's Mondo Video or Blood-Sucking Freaks or Dial M for Murder in 3D, you went to the Valhalla. I was lucky because the Valhalla was within easy walking distance from the tiny, poorly maintained terrace house I lived in at the time, and it was all downhill on the way home. The Valhalla did midnight sessions on Saturday nights, 2 cult movies. One Saturday, actually 2 Saturdays, they did Robot Monster, which is a truly and gloriously bad movie, and they teamed it up with the godfather of all bad movies, Ed Wood Jr.'s Plan 9 from Outer Space. The session from the previous film ended and the audience for that one filed out telling each other how much they enjoyed A Clockwork Orange. Then all the freaks filed in for the midnight session. We were about 5 rows from the front when, 5 minutes before the movies were about to start, a guy sitting dead centre in the front row threw up. A lot. It smelled like he'd been living on a diet of durian and dog shit for months. Really, really bad vomit. Everyone tried to find a seat as far as possible from the toxic spill, while the perpetrator headed out the door. The ushers cleaned up with disinfectant and mops, but the smell stuck around. The Valhalla didn't have any air conditioning. There was nothing to blow away this rank miasma of a smell. After the cleanup, the movie started a bit late with a big semicircle of empty seats in the front. I enjoyed the movies because they're bad movies, but I couldn't help but think that the stink was a metaphor and a critique of both of them. Going to the movies is an adventure. There's an uncertainty, a possibility of chaos that doesn't happen when you watch a movie at home, unless your cat throws up in your shoe during Paris, Texas. Cinemas are in decline, but I hope they don't go the way of video stores, drive-ins and polite political discourse. We need to have somewhere to go and watch movies with a crowd of strangers with the tiniest of hopes that something really fucked up is going to happen. So anyway, that's it for this time around. Just a little story about my checkered career as a movie viewer. Thank you for watching. And if you liked the video, as I said at the start, please subscribe and leave a comment telling me any weird experience you've had in the cinema. And I'll be back soon with something else entirely. Take care of yourselves and I'll talk to you soon.